Yuck. Oh. Yuck. Yuck. And it's not any better on the other side. Hey everybody, welcome back to Dirt Grease Outdoor Peace. And this is part 4 of your camera battery dies at the best time always. No, I'm just kidding. It did die again though. For some strange reason, if you don't recharge the batteries, they don't last very long. So gonna have to try to work on that. Guess when the camera is sitting there and not being used, maybe I should plug it in. Well, we'll see about that. But well, this is part 4 of the Tahoe chassis donor 58 Chevy custom build, and it has taken a severe turn and decided that the frame is just junk and it's not even worth messing with. And besides the cross members being rotted out, there's a bunch of other stuff rotted out here, and the bottom of the frame rail here is just complete junk, and everything was so scaly and nasty anyways. It's not even worth messing with, because by the time I get to cut back to good metal and try to do anything, it's just going to be too much work. So I started looking for a frame yesterday, and I ended up finding I think it was the same year, but I think it's a Escalade frame in Kentucky, and it's not that far from here. So I think it's they only wanted $550 for a frame, and it still had the paint on it, and it had a little bit of just surface rust on the bottom, but nothing like you see around here. And so I'm gonna get the frame. The frame has the control arms and the spindles on it. I gotta pay $150 each side for that. And then I'm gonna buy a rear end from them for $300. And it sounds like a lot of money, but it's gonna save me a lot of time in the long run from trying to clean up this mess and then have to fix all this junk. And yeah, this, I probably could get away with running this rear end, but it's just so scaly and nasty. I just don't trust it. So I'm getting the rear end. I'm gonna have to change the gears, so I'm gonna have to pull. This has 342s in it, according to the VIN. So I'm gonna have to pull the gears out of here and put it in the new rear end. And then I'm definitely getting the lower control arms. I'll talk to her about the uppers. These aren't that bad. And talk to her about the Panhard bar. So now I am, today is Thursday. We're planning on going to Kentucky on Monday. So that gives me time to start stripping this thing down, get the engine and transmission and everything out of it, which I wanted to pull the engine anyways, just to reseal everything and look at some things. I think it needed a water pump, and I want to pull the pan, look in the pan, and just check everything out anyways. So that'll give me a chance to do that. I had to get it out of there anyways. And then so yeah, I just started, I got everything unhooked from the radiator support, so I'm going to get that pulled off. I got the there's actually power steering cooler. I'm gonna have to ask her about that too. That thing's rusty. The lines are real bad, so I'm gonna ask her about the power steering cooler. Maybe a battery tray. I think the I pulled this oil cooler line out of the oh, that's training cooler. Huh. That's the no. Huh. I didn't know that. That is a tranny cooler, because that is weird that they do that. They actually run, because this goes up. This went from the radiator up to the front. So that's funny that they run the cooler into the radiator and then out to a separate cooler. That's weird. So maybe this isn't power steering. Maybe this is oil cooler. No, that's power steering. I thought this thing, maybe it doesn't have oil cooler on it. Huh, I'm gonna have to look into that. Well, I guess I'm learning even more as I go. So I got everything unhooked from the radiator support, pulled the air conditioning lines. So I'm gonna get that out of the way, and then the next thing I'm gonna do is label all the electronic, all the connectors, all the wiring connectors on the engine, and then I can get that harness out of the way. And that is this big harness that comes over here and the computer, so I can get that out of the way. Possibly disconnect the brake booster, and then just keep chipping away and start getting everything unhooked and getting everything pulled out of there. So well, one of the things I wanted to say was that I wanted to thank my mom and dad for the support on this, and it would be easy for parent, even though I'm older and doing my own things, it would be easy for somebody to criticize getting into a project like this and getting getting even more involved in something when it would be easy to criticize somebody. So I want to thank them for their support. My dad said, yeah, no brainer, you need a frame. And it was just, I needed to hear that to back up the thought of, even starting to look or starting to go through that process. And of course my mom too, they both support me in everything I do. And so it was just nice to have that support and have, I don't know, renewed hope, I guess, in the project, because I just thought, I paid $1,300 for the whole thing. I got it running. I know it has a good engine and transmission, and I did sell some parts off of the body, but it was just like, now that this frame is bad, it's just like I wasted all that money. I wasted all that time. Now I got to start over. And my dad, reassured me. He said, no, you didn't waste your money. You got, think about, good engine and transmission and transfer case, and, you got these good wheels and tires. So, you could easily see, $1,000 in, in the good parts there. So, it was just nice to have that support. I think they just know that how interested I am in this. I've had this old '58 Chevy for a long time and been dreaming about getting that done. So yeah, so it's gonna stay positive now, and looking forward to going and getting this frame and keep moving forward. So thank you for clicking on the video, and please, if if you have interest in what I'm doing here, please go back and watch the first 3 videos, and you can see exactly where I started from. Hopefully soon I'll be able to get the 58 over here, and then yeah, so once I get that truck body over here, I think that'll just kind of reinvigorate things, and you see how neat those old truck bodies are, and hopefully we can make a nice little driver out of it. So thanks a lot, appreciate it. Well, here it is. This is my new frame. This is actually a 2005 Cadillac Escalade frame, but it is the same as a Tahoe or a Yukon. And when I realized that my frame was in really bad shape and it wasn't even worth trying to patch, it was just way too bad, I started looking online and I saw some that were in Ohio, and then I was thinking that maybe that's not far enough outside of the Rust Belt to be a good enough frame, or something that I wanted to invest all the time and money in. So I looked a little bit further, and there was a junkyard that came up in Kentucky. It's called Reitman Auto Parts, Reitman, and they were excellent people to deal with. They lifted this Escalade up and they sent me a picture of the frame, and I could tell right away that this was a nice frame. And then I said that I wanted to buy the control arms for the front, and I wanted to get another rear end. And they gave me a price on the front, and I didn't think it was too bad. Well, now I think that it's a excellent deal for what I got, because not only did I get the control arms, but I got the torsion bars, which, look, they still have paint on them. Torsion bars are excellent. Not only did I get the torsion bars with it, but it has decent looking shocks on it. I got another set of brakes, and these brakes actually have nicer looking lines, and where the lines bolt to the frame, the brackets are all nice. Mine were just falling apart. And on top of that, it has a really nice looking sway bar in it, and it has a center link with nice looking tie rods on it. So all that stuff is just a big bonus for me. The bearings look like they're in good shape in the hubs. The lug studs are in nice shape. Hopefully I can just use those brakes. I didn't even look at the pads on them. Yeah, see the studs on this is all really nice. Yeah, the brake shoes are good, so I think I'm just gonna run the lines to these brakes. I'll have to check the ball joints while it's apart. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I did get another rear end too. I'll show you the other one now that it's out. And this, because this was an Escalade and it had air ride in the rear, and so I'm not going to be using that because I don't have a control for that. But this is the old rear end. The control arms aren't too bad, but I did get some other lower control arms. I'm gonna have to use these upper control arms. But the rear end is just full of that heavy, flaky rust. And so I just decided to get another rear end and not have to deal with that. The only thing I have to do is this rear end. They took the VIN number that I had off of my Tahoe. They ran the VIN number and they saw that my Tahoe was a 342 gear ratio. The rear end that they gave me is a 373. So I'm planning on taking the gears out of the old rear end and putting them in the new rear end because it's four-wheel drive and I don't want to have to get a different gear set for the front diff. I don't think. I haven't looked into that yet, but I don't think that's the way I want to go. I do kind of like this 373. It would probably be a better performing, seat of the pants kind of feel with that 373 in there. But I just have to see what it entails changing the gears in the front, if that's possible. So I don't really know anything about those differentials. Yeah, so overall you can see how nice this frame is. They washed it for me. I don't know if they used degreaser. They must have used some kind of steam jenny and pressure washed it because the thing is really clean in the front. There's no grease or anything on it. So once I get the body mounts figured out, I will probably try to acid etch the rust off of this frame and then get it primered and painted. But that's a little ways down the road. One thing that's neat on this Escalade is mine had a grease fitting right here for the arm right here. But mine had a grease fitting right there, but this Escalade one has a remote. And I have to figure out where that bolts, but this has a remote grease fitting. That's handy. It was just sitting. It was sitting down here, but I have to figure out where that goes. Yeah, so here's the there's the front differential. There's a motor up on the stand. This is a engine stand that my dad made a long time ago. That's we put big block Chevys on there and that thing doesn't grunt at all. So there's the engine, a bunch of other parts, brakes and steering box and the axles, and there's the transmission and the transfer case. Got my radiator support over here and a big pile of wires. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how everything worked out. Today's Tuesday. We went to Kentucky yesterday. We were on the road at 4:30 in the morning. Takes about 6 hours to get there from here. And yeah, we got there. Got the frame loaded up. They had the rear end banded in there, but that must have broke while we were going down the road. I also got the panhard rod for the rear end from them, and a battery tray. Actually, I asked them for the panhard rod, and they were trying to find one, and then when they got one, the guy just threw it in. So I spent quite a bit of money with them, but the frame was actually, I mean, we talk about getting a frame that's this nice. The frame is actually inexpensive. The front end parts added up and the rear end added up a little bit, but it's the trip out there is, not only are you using up a day of your time, but, I spent a couple $100 in fuel. But yeah, all in all, it went good. No problems on the road. My truck acted up a little bit. That's the first time I've ever had any trouble with my truck. The air conditioning compressor clutch wanted to engage even with the air conditioning off, so I ended up unplugging the compressor. And then I think I talked about it in one of the other videos. I had a rear NOx sensor, a NOx, nitric oxide sensor code, and so I ended up replacing that. Spent like $270 on a sensor. And then on the way down there, I had a different code come up. And now I got a bunch of codes on there. So hopefully my emission system isn't completely shot. And I don't want to, I'm already planning on not spending a bunch of money on that. If there's anything wrong with anything in the emissions, like the DEF or the DPF or anything like the EGR or anything like that, I'm probably just going to delete it. So yeah, I had a couple issues there, but nothing major. But yeah, I really, having this nice frame really makes me feel like I'm moving in the right direction. So now I can start getting going on this and getting things transferred over, and probably start moving towards getting this back into a roller. And yeah, so I was excited to show you guys what I got, and to be moving forward on this project. And yeah, pretty happy with that. So thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't seen the beginning of this project, please go back and watch part 1, part 2, part 3, and you can see see what I've done on this, see the progress. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.